live, waiting for a countdown. Did the countdown work? It did. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Trying a different setup at the moment. So hello. Hello, everyone. Someone give me some hellos. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you are alive and well, and I'm not just streaming to a room of no people. I know there's a 60-second delay, so I might not see your comment straight away. But most importantly, we had some not we. You guys were amazing. It was all me. It's always me. Had some problems with the tech last week. So my microphone interface was cutting out. Is it cutting out today? Can someone tell me if it's cutting out? You know what I should do is just listen to myself. Why don't I do that? Why don't I do that? Give me a second, guys. For someone that records content on a daily basis, you would think I would be professional by now, wouldn't you? Sounds good? It's not dipping in and out. Are we okay? Because if not, I'll just unhook my audio interface. Let me check on my other phone. It's perfect today. Amazing. Awesome. Last week, like a complete fool, I did the whole live stream with my wheel of my office chair actually on a cable. So that's why it was cutting out. So hello, everyone. I hope you are all feeling fantastic. Most importantly, where are you guys from? I didn't ask you last week and I'm really sorry. So tell me, are you from New York, Newquay, other places that we were then? Where are we all from? I hope you're all having a fantastic day, evening, morning. It's going to be very different for everyone, of course. New York, amazing. Awesome. Portugal, yes. My favorite place in the whole wide world. If I could move anywhere, it would definitely be Portugal. San Diego. Oh, that's so fun. I'm just in the UK. That's quite boring. It's pitch black right now. Boring. You're down there. That's why I'm looking down. I don't want to be ignoring you guys. So hello, my name is Dani De Silves. It is my job to help you get unstuck in life, in business, in relationships, friendships, the whole shebang, and basically get the life that you deserve. So I'm pretty new to YouTube on this channel. You've probably seen me everywhere else. This is my channel that's a little baby, and I'm trying to grow it and try and help as many people along their journey as possible. Most important question, kind of important question, is I want to know, if you had a superpower, what would it be and why? Let me see. If you had a superpower, what would it be and why? Very relevant to today's topic. It's not at all. I just want to know. Because in my head, the best superpower is the ability to be invisible, because you could just find things out or just, yeah, there's a lot of things that you could do. So what would be your superpower that you would have? Within reason. Flight. Yeah, that's a good one. That's pretty good. That's a good one. I want to see if anyone else has invisibility. I've actually been binging all of the Harry Potters at the moment. I'm reading them and then watching the movie as they come out, well, as I read them. So I was like, an invisibility cloak would be the best thing ever. It really would. Invisibility, because I'm an introvert. Oh, that's very, very, very interesting. Okay, so guys, did anyone, I know a couple of you did, but I'm going to ask you anyway, did we see the video this morning? Super early video for me. Upload was about 6 a.m. I've had a busy day, a lot of traveling. Yeah, I'm exhausted, but here I am fighting on. So today's video was all about emotional neglect in our relationships. And I thought my process for the next couple of weeks, if it works for you, that works for me, is the content that I upload, I would like to then take your advice in the sense of, if you have questions, things that you have a unique perspective in your circumstance that I could help you with. I thought it'd be a nice way to kind of end the week and answer your questions. So, hello, Zimmerman. How you doing? So the topic for today is emotional neglect in relationships, and I think it's a core thing when it comes to all of our relationships, to be honest, with work people, colleagues, because we spend all of our time with them, friendships, our next door neighbor, etc. So what we did is we looked at the study of Harry Harlow, and now I sound like a psychology teacher, but it's a really good study. If you've not seen the video, I recommend you go watch it, of course. But it basically was a gentleman that split up monkeys from their birth mother to see how they would react. So what he did was had two cages. One cage had a nice comfy setup which would emulate mother, and the other cage just had a feeding bottle. So what the monkeys did is they actually would go without food just to get comfort. And I think it's a really good analogy for us to think, are we settling with less in our adult lives? For example, are we letting ourselves feel hungry and not eating because we are busy working on a task? We're trying to receive comfort from, say, a financial goal, or do we have a relationship with someone? And what we're finding is we are accepting less than what we deserve, those little teeny tiny crumbs, just so they can give us some form of comfort. So in that video, we broke it down into 3 mindsets. If anyone remembers them, that would be amazing. But the first mindset was all about avoiding growth. And I think that's such a huge thing. We all do it. It's basically the form of self-sabotage. So we avoid our growth because it sucks. Let's be honest, right? Feelings absolutely suck sometimes. Now, I actually had a conversation with someone this morning on YouTube, just through comments, and he was a lovely gentleman. I presumed he was a gentleman. And it really got to me. It really pulled on my heart, and the fact that sometimes I read all these comments from you and I think it's amazing. I just love finding out about who you are and your background. And yeah, sometimes it gets to me. I'm like, wow, like some of us are really going through some things, like really bad things, and we can't escape that. Sadly, we have to push on. And I think the biggest lesson in life is we're gonna feel pain anyway. We just have to find a way to not distract ourselves from it, but gracefully go through it. And as a side note, if anyone hears any crunching, I'm hoping you don't, because my microphone's set at a certain angle. I thought I would give my 2 dogs a treat during this next couple of, or potentially 45 minutes. And I was like, you know what? I'll give them a treat, keep them happy. And I've given them the most crunchiest treat known to man right now. So they're chewing that, and you can hear it. That's what they're doing. Yeah, it sounds great. Little monsters down there chewing on a lamb trachea, I think. So yeah, avoiding growth absolutely sucks. You can't hear it. Okay, that's perfect. That's amazing. So avoiding growth, I thought it'd be great to talk about it and be honest. Is there something that you feel that you are avoiding from doing because maybe you don't feel like you can achieve the end goal? Maybe it feels really uncomfortable to even start to do something where we start to self-sabotage. I did put a post up a couple of weeks ago where it was basically, what do you know that you need to do that you aren't doing? And I think the most common answer was meditating, which is brilliant, journaling. What was the third one? Pretty sure it was around business and lifestyle and stuff like that. But it's really common that we do avoid a lot of stuff. We don't want to heal because healing sucks. And I kind of just want to tap in that if anyone is struggling out there, the struggle is hard. It's really hard. And like I said, you have to push through. And sometimes you're still going to feel that pain. You just choose how that pain affects you. So let's take the analogy that you drive in a car. You drive in a car, you go into work, everything's amazing. And then all of a sudden, your car just conks out on the motorway. Okay. You've got to pull your car to the side of the road. You've got to call up someone to come and collect you. And you're going to be sat there. You're going to be like, right, I'm late for work now. My boss is going to kick my ass when I get there. Secondly, maybe it's freezing cold. You've not bought a jacket. And thirdly, you're going to be pretty irked, right? You're going to be sat there in your car. You can't go anywhere. You're just doing nothing. Maybe the engine won't turn on, so you can't charge your phone, so you can't scroll through Reddit or YouTube or whatever. And you can be angry. You can be like, this sucks right now. But then we have to take the mindset of, well, let's be honest, you can't really do a lot right now. You're going to be stranded for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And yeah, it sucks. But reserve that energy rather than let yourself be really annoyed that this is happening. Let yourself think, well, it's happening anyway. I can either be sad or I can be happy about it. And if I choose to be happy, this moment is a bit more pleasant. It's almost the same as if we find ourselves being quite irritable in traffic, which is really common. Come on, we all do it. We're sat in traffic and we're like, I'm going to be late for work. This really sucks. And it's like, you can be irritated. You can be angry that you are not getting to your end goal right now. But does the anger benefit us? Absolutely not. The anger doesn't. The anger is just giving us momentum to well, yeah, to get shit done, dare I say that. So the anger doesn't help us. We may as well choose to just accept the situation for what it is, radical acceptance, and be like, right, I'm stuck in traffic. Someone's broken down in front of me. I haven't got any snacks in the car right now, and I'm stuck listening to classical music. No offense to classical music listeners, but if that's not your type of vibe and you can't change your radio station for whatever reason, you may as well just put up with it. And that's something that we talk about in DBT, if DBT is ever something that you would bless yourself with going through. And it's a case of just radically accepting a situation. Let's say we fell out with a friend, or we fell out with our partner, or we broke up with our partner. That really sucks. It really sucks. But there's a tremendous amount of growth right there that we don't quite see. We can't quite grasp it just yet because the pain is so painful. But eventually, those clouds do pass, and we're like, okay, I can accept the situation for what it is. It's a bit crappy. It's not the situation, the outcome that I wanted. Or we can think, right, okay, I'm going to be angry. I'm going to get even maybe. I'm going to, try and blast this person on social media. I want to make them feel bad. I'm going to make them feel jealous, and all you're doing is wasting your own energy. So that's the concept of avoiding growth. And the second mindset, which, you know what I'm going to do? I actually have, where do I have it? A piece of chalk, and I'm going to draw on my wall. I realize I can use this as like a little chalkboard if it works. Yeah, look at that. I'm a proper, lefty loosey right. There we go. I'm a proper teacher right now. So I thought I would draw on the board, on the wall, and kind of explain a concept to you. Since birth, you are outcasted as a black sheep. Oh, that really sucks. I feel for you. I've seen it from another perspective in my sibling arrangement. And it is tough. So I do feel for you. And I bet that changes everything. What a lot of people don't realize is in your birth order, in your family, you all get treated slightly different. So the youngest child, your youngest sibling, they're not mollycoddled, but they're almost babied. The oldest sibling is the one that kind of is expected to look after everyone. And the middle child usually kind of gets away with everything. So being the black sheep in a family is tough. It is. You almost feel like an alien and in a world that doesn't quite fit you. So the second mindset, I wanted to talk about emotional unavailability. So if you've ever taken the attachment test, which is a great test that was done in, I think, 1970. I think it was 1970 by Mary Ainsworth, my most favorite psychological study in the whole wide world. So let me know, guys, if you've done your attachment style, do you know what you resonate with? Are you the secure type? Are you the anxious type? Are you the avoidant type, or the disorganized attachment? And of course, we can all range throughout a different kind of variation of the four. And also, one thing which I don't see many people talking about on YouTube is your attachment style can change. So let's say you've identified that you are the avoidant. You're someone that feels very uncomfortable when you get close to people, friendships, relationships. You almost feel a bit like, this is uncomfortable. I feel like I'm drowning in all this love, don't know what to do with it. And then you can cause an argument with someone to push someone away, or things build up and you're like, nope, I'm done. And then you try to gain control over that person to make them disappear for a little bit, and then you come back. Or you are the anxious type who's very hypersensitive to what's going on around you, where you essentially are just so in need of being in love that you become quite obsessive. You are your partner is at the front, the full frontal, there's a word there, it's coming, the front part of the brain. They're very much your safety net, I guess, and you want to spend all of your time with this type of person. Or the disorganized attachment is someone that we could say it stems around the whole borderline personality disorder. Very much, I want you, don't leave me, go away, I don't want you, oh no, I want you again. Very confusing. So if anyone wants to admit what their attachment style is, that's totally cool. But what I've noticed is many people on YouTube don't talk about how that can change. So maybe how we felt as a child can definitely change when we start to grow up into an adult. And we almost feel that we're fixed. We almost feel that however we were treated as a child, that's how we're going to remain for the rest of our lives. And it's not true. So one thing that I wanted to draw attention to, which I know you guys are incredible, you're fantastic. I know you'll get this. Where is it? There we go. More space. Woohoo. So let's say this is going to be the most ridiculous drawing in the world. Let's say we've got a man, okay? Well, I'm going to try not gender stereotype here, but we've got a dude. We've got a lady, okay? Let's just pretend they're in love, okay? I feel like, have you ever seen, if you're from the UK, you will know there was a thing that would pop up in the 90s, I think it was. Yeah, in the 90s for sure. Whereas a woman with a fake doll and she's drawing on a board when your TV signal would cut off. That's how I feel right now. If that resonates with anyone, yeah, you understand. Went through a major medical surgery a few years ago that really changed my outlook and mindset. I'm in the limbo of learning new methods and sort of relearning what works for me. Yeah, exactly. Let me tell you, relearning is so tough. Relearning when you realize that you've spent a whole life learning that something is different sucks. So, for example, like you'd be like, okay, so you've reached the age of 32. You realize that this color, blue, you realize all along that it was orange. And when you're like, what? That color is not orange? I'm like, yeah, this color is actually blue. But when you've believed something for so long, a tiny increment, like the butterfly effect, completely floors you, completely changes everything. Let me go back to this. So we have a dude, we've got a lady, of course. Let's say that what naturally happens is this person here, I'm just going to stereotype, this guy here is emotionally avoidant, okay? Ran rage through my blood after father's physical abuse. Oh, that's terrible for you. I'm sending you so much love. We should have never have gone through those things, and I'm so sorry that we have. And all we have is going forwards. Sadly, we have to take on our traumas and we have to do our work to push through. So we got this dude who's emotionally avoidant. We've got a lady who is emotionally AEX. So she's emotionally anxious. So what this means is we have a cycle, okay? I've explained it in the video, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail here. So if you are someone that is the avoidant type who gets very uncomfortable, maybe you're someone that's in the age of like 40 or 50 and you're seeking a young person to date because you don't want to date someone your age, because you feel if you were dating someone your age, you've got to show up. You have to have a mature mindset. This explains the young relationships that happen, which are not great. But if you're avoidant, you are naturally drawn to someone that's anxious. We have this push and pull dynamic. So if we could see that this was our parents, right? One parent is going to be not verbally abusive, but possibly very much this is my way, nothing's going to change. And then we usually get a woman, not all the time. The woman's very much, it's okay, I will serve you, I will do everything that you want to keep them happy. So this becomes a huge circle. And what I've noticed a lot is a lot of the guys will basically say, I even had a guy this morning that I spoke to, an absolutely lovely gentleman, and he said to me, I don't believe, how could I draw this? What would this be? This would be a big love heart. So if you're, I'm going to say, not emotionally damaged, because I don't ever believe that we are damaged. I just believe we have learnt not great life skills. We've not had good enough parenting. We've had just kind of got us by. So let's say in your case, we've got physical abuse, we've got emotional trauma, that we see this relationship as standard. We believe that that's the relationship that we should have ourselves. So if you don't believe, oh, this way I'm going backwards, if you don't believe that therapy works, okay, that man here, what they're going to do is they're going to have children, right? We're going to have a woman here and we're going to have a boy there, gender stereotyping. And if this man here, God, that's so hard to go backwards. If that man believes that he isn't, I'm not saying he's broken, doesn't believe that things can change, doesn't believe in therapy or feelings, he tells his son over here, he's like, why are you crying? Girls cry. What's wrong with you? And then the boy's like, wait, I've got feelings. And then the father's like, yeah, feelings are weird. Get rid of them. And obviously, mum, if she's anxious, she's not going to stick up for this little boy and say, no, it's okay that Toby has, fallen on the floor and he's crying or he's lost his maths competition. She's not going to stick up for him. So what happens is this boy here grows up into a man that doesn't want to talk about his feelings. One, because it's uncomfortable. It is for everyone, but more so for him. And secondly, every man in this family is going to tell him having feelings is wrong. What does that mean? Well, the daughter's obviously going to end up dating guys that are just like her brother and just like, oh, I'm going backwards. There we go. Just like her father, because that's what she's comfortable with. And this creates more people that they date and they get married. And then we have more children. And that cycle never, ever, ever ends. So the downside is if we don't want to break our cycle and we don't want to go to therapy because maybe a man has told us therapy is weak, we just become another version of our fathers, father 2.0, and it sucks. And let me tell you, in my professional working environment in the psychological industry and working with people just in my own business time, I've noticed that it's so hard for men. It's the mental health is hard for everyone, but for a guy, when they are surrounded in a society of, well, men are trash if you have feelings. Men are like, what do I do? I've never been taught how to feel angry. I've never been taught how to be sad. So what happens is these men store these emotions, and emotions are completely natural. And I know you might be thinking, well, you're just a woman. Women always have emotions. And yeah, we do, but so do men. Because if emotions were not supposed to be in a man's brain, evolution would have taken that emotion out, right? A little bit like depression. No one wants to be depressed, but it has a biological reason. We feel depressed to make us take stock, to look around and think, right, something bad's happened. Maybe someone's passed away. I've lost my house, lost my job. It makes you stick around in that moment. It's a deep rest, deep rest, depression, to sit around there, think, take stock, and think, right, how do I get back on track and make things better? So it all serves a purpose. And what happens is, if we don't believe that our emotions have some form of support in our life, we will continue to date the wrong type of person and have friendships with the wrong type of people. And if you are in business, you will end up picking clients that aren't great as well, and they just kind of take you for your money. So it's very important that we know where our inner working model comes from. So what I've noticed is, and I read it all the time, right? And it does make me chuckle, is a guy will basically say, women are trash. Women just want money because this happened to me. She stole my money and she told me that emotions were weak. Turns out he just sadly dated a lady that was also emotionally immature, had emotionally unavailable parents who probably told her that men shouldn't have emotions. So, of course, she believes that and tells him, well, you're trash for having emotions. And then that woman will come away from that relationship and say, men only want one thing. They just whatever it is, I don't know if I can say it on stream, but they only want one thing. And I'm like, no, that was just your representation of a relationship. So when I see online, there's a lot of guys that are, is it men going their own way? MGTOW. I see that a lot. And I just feel for these people. And I'm like, you've had really bad situations. You've had bad experiences, clearly, to want to be so hard in a group that reinforces you to have that solitary, extremely independent mindset. It's almost very, very sad. So, in terms of identifying who we naturally resonate with, makes us understand where we're coming from in a place of our attachment trauma. So, you would get it in a workplace, right? Let's say we have just started a new job and you don't really know who you should be hanging out with, who you want to spend your lunch break with. Naturally, we pick out people that we think will understand us. We'll think that person will get me because maybe they look a bit alternative and that fits my vibe. So we subconsciously look out for people that will resonate. And we do that in relationships all the time. And the sad thing about it is we end up staying in relationships that we shouldn't do because we don't have those extreme toxic signs that things aren't good. So in the video this morning, I basically said sometimes we can stay in a friendship that's a friendship, a relationship, a job that's so toxic and damaging, but because we're not being physically assaulted, maybe someone's never saying bad things to our face, we don't feel like it's bad. If we've never been taught life skills from these two people who have said, yeah, if someone says this or if someone does that, get rid of them. We've never been taught that. We're like, well, they haven't thrown a book at my head, so that means I should stay in this crappy office job. It's a really hard concept to grasp. And then the third part of the mindset was all about making sure we weren't coming from a place of hypervigilance, which is if we are very anxious in nature. 2 seconds. Hydration. So we have to make sure that sometimes we perceive situations to be different than what's factually happening. So when we're doing DBT training with our clients, what we like to say is, can you factually prove someone's opinion? You can't, it's an opinion. Can you factually prove what someone is thinking about you? You can't. You will never get inside their head. Therefore, you should never base your own judgment of a situation based on how you think someone perceives you, because you will never know what they truly think. Like I said, you can't get in their head, you can't get in their shoes. So what happens is we have our own internal monologue, right? Let's say that we grew up and we're going to say mum this time. Mum is the person that's very aggressive to dad. She was like, like, why aren't you doing this? You don't love me enough, blah, blah, blah. And then he's this person that becomes very, very anxious. He just sits down at night and he tries to appease his wife. And maybe he does all of the cooking, does all of the cleaning because he's very anxious that she's going to leave him. So he has to be people pleaser, number one. What happens is, oh, that was a perfect sentence. I was going to say, and it completely left my head. What was it? Ah, that's completely gone. Never mind. But basically, what happens is that man becomes hyper vigilant to any perceived abandonment. So if he notices that his wife is on the phone longer than usual, he's very much like, who is that? Is she going to leave me? Or if she comes home 20 minutes late from work, rather than him thinking, are you okay? It's been 20 minutes. What's going on? He's very much like 2 minutes is gone and he's like, where are you? You know, what's going on? Are you in a crash? Are you with someone? So sometimes we end up not knowing how to deal with our emotions, that we just presume something's happening when it's not. For example, you could, let's say you're walking down the street, right? Really common example that we see is you're walking down the street and you see your friend and she's or he's down at the end of the street and you're like, hey, Rachel, oh, hey, John, Tobias, whoever it is. And then they just they looks like they're looking at you and then they turn away and they walk into a store and you're like, oh, okay. So you can have two mindsets there. Your first mindset could be, they're ignoring me. What the hell? I'm never going to talk to that person again. Maybe you bump into that person the day after, and then you're like, no, I'm not even going to look at that person because you blanked me. Or we can have the healthy mindset of thinking, maybe Rachel or maybe Tobias didn't see me. I know that they wear glasses. Maybe they can't see, they were foggy or whatever. We don't take it personally. And that's where hypervigilance comes from. So it's knowing what is your first immediate mindset. When something goes bad, do you immediately think, oh, that's because they don't like me? I've done something wrong? Or do you immediately think, oh, that's strange. Maybe they didn't see me. For example, if you're, I don't know, driving a car and you beep your horn at someone because you know them and that person turns around but they don't wave, you might be like, they know my car. Why didn't they say hi to me? And it could be they maybe did not notice you. Now, I have to wear glasses, right? And if I see someone that knows me and they're like this far away from my face, I can't see you at all. Like if you were stood where my bookshelf is now, I wouldn't be able to see you. You'll be like 5 pixels. You'll be a big blur. So we have to understand where our initial thoughts leads. And you will find that if you immediately think that everyone hates you, people are ignoring you, that your partner is going to cheat on you, that's because something went wrong in this parenting relationship. Someone didn't teach you skills or they taught you something that doesn't quite work. So what I want to do, and I thought it'd be great to get your advice. Where's my chalk piece gone? There you are. I bought a box of chalk, right? And I just know by the end of the week, it's going to be smushed into my carpet. I'll stand over it and, yeah, 2 seconds. So what I wanted to know was to make sure that I would love to create content that works for you guys. So my background is psychology, helping people with dialectical behavioral therapy, which basically means if you're someone that is struggling with life, maybe you've been given, say, an attachment disorder, a personality disorder, and you're really struggling, that's where I come in and I help people to understand, okay, what's not working, what is working. Let's try and find the path from A to B without you creating an additional scenario in your own head. So I thought if you guys wanted, if you could put it in the comments and I can take a quick screenshot, is just to ask questions that you really, really want answering, and I will do my very best to answer them for you on this session or in videos in the future. But to wrap up today's video was essentially, do we have emotional neglect in our relationships? If so, is that something that we are doing? Is it because we are avoiding growth? We are avoiding boundaries? Or is it the state of the person that we are with, our boss, neighbor, whoever it is, are they the type of person that is emotionally cut off? But we are choosing to people please them to keep them coming back to us because we're coming from a state of, I'm not good enough. And then the third mindset is essentially understanding that sometimes we can perceive a situation that's not correct at all. It's one of those things. We have to be very sure of who we are so that Yeah, we can make sure we're not going to say something to someone that might offend them. Like, you didn't call me back when you said you would. I don't want to be your friend anymore. When really they can be like, oh, you won't believe the evening I've had. I opened my front door, my dog ran out, and it took me half an hour to get him back inside. Because then you'd be like, well, I'm an idiot for presuming that they are going to abandon me. Oh, so I've got private. I don't think I can read that one. I have a private message that came through. Okay, I won't read it. It came through privately. I will respect your privacy. So, yeah, I hope that helped. I hope this helps us understand that if we don't end the cycle, I'm going to smush that into the wall. If we don't end the cycle that we are in, what that ends up doing is that creates this solidified tribe of people that also, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. I'm drawing backwards. Check me out. A tribe of people that also has the same mindset as us. There we go. So the common concept is we are the 5 people that we hang out with. So if you are Brian over here, and Brian doesn't believe that therapy exists, he believes that everyone can conquer their battles in their head and being sad is for babies, his friend is also going to have the same mindset, and then the same mindset, and so on and so forth. And what that happens is we are reinforced. So if you have friends, and I'm not saying you should cut your friends off, that's not what I'm saying. But if you are surrounding yourself with people who have opinions that make you feel uncomfortable, because as we grow, we start to change who we are, we change our relationships, it might be a sense that we should stop reinforcing our negative self beliefs based on someone else's opinion in the friend group. Could you make a video, for instance, on how to deal with a toxic workplace to change a bit from romantic relationships? Of course, I can. On this channel, I don't really talk about romantic stuff. I'm presuming you are referring to another channel, which isn't my channel, just to make that very, very clear. That's not my channel. This is my channel. But I would love to do workplace stuff. I'm trying to think. I've had so many toxic situations. In fact, this is a brilliant story. It's not brilliant, it's quite traumatic, but I thought I'd share it with you actually. So I have been on my entrepreneurial journey for 6 years, 7 years. And I've done video presenting all of that time for different types of clients. And I started dabbling in social media marketing because naturally, if you've got sales videos, it ties into platforms of social media marketing, right? So I had this wonderful person, absolutely bundle of joy, and the story is along the lines, I realized that this person had textbook narcissistic traits. Of course, you should never diagnose someone from your armchair. You never know someone's actual diagnosis. You can only perceive it a trait, right? So I remember talking to this person, and he was so charming, so charming that I was like, this man's amazing. He paid his invoice on time. And I was like, okay. And he paid me extra. And I was like, what a nice man. Like, it's a rarity nowadays to get clients that pay you on time. And we worked for a while together. Really, really great man. And then eventually what I noticed was he was starting to play with boundaries. So a narcissist, if they are diagnosed as a narcissist, because obviously we can't see how people are without having that DSM criterion, that he was amazing, he was great, but then his mask started to slip. And we all know that if you have a toxic boss, they might look amazing and charismatic to begin with, but then it does slip. They can't keep that appearance up for long enough. So it started to slip. His invoices would come in late, and I'd be like, hey buddy, I've got a gas bill to pay, I've got like petrol to put in my car. And he was like, oh Danny, I'm so sorry. Gave me an excuse, and I was like, I'll let it slide, it's okay. The next time he wouldn't pay me, he was late. And I was like, right, I'm gonna have to get the big guns in and stuff. I've done a service, you owe me, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, right, so he paid me. I was like, here's my boundary. My boundary is you don't get access to me unless you pay me this up front, yada, yada. So he agreed. I would sign a contract. And then he had a deadline to sign a contract and he wouldn't sign it. And it turns out in the morning when work was due, he was like, where's the work? And I was like, well, I haven't started it yet because you didn't sign the contract from last week. And he immediately turned around and he was raging. He was absolutely terrible. And that was the end of that. And then he threatened to take me to court for something ridiculous. But what you will find in a workplace is someone that is so charismatic and amazing, their mask does slip. So you have to know initially when someone is being too nice, and that sounds awful, doesn't it? Is this person being too nice? Yeah, it happens. Not everyone is a great person. Someone that can be over friendly is someone that you really want to be just very cautious of. Now, I've worked with, I guess, quite it's natural when you work in business, you do eventually realize who are good people to work with and who are not good people. And that all stems from, again, are we attached to a certain type of person? Even in like our client world, we're like, oh, I'll work with you because I feel like you would get me. But yeah, narcissistic bosses, they don't like you doing good as well. You will notice them from interviews. If you have a narcissistic boss and they interview you, they don't like to admit that they need help in their business. So I remember having this guy that invited me over. It was like an interview for his social media marketing, should we say? And he just wouldn't get to the interview questions. And I was like slyly checking my phone, like in my pocket, just like, "Right, I've been here like 25 minutes. What's going on?" And I thought, I'll be polite. We're having some rapport, some banter. And he was explaining the history of his business and how it came around. And I was just there like, 30 minutes has gone by. What is going on? My belly is starting to rumble. I'm like, I've paid for parking in the car park. I need to hurry up now. And then he just wouldn't really get around the subject of talking about his business. Little did I know, basically, those toxic bosses don't like to admit when they need help. Even though he asked for my help on the phone, he was very hard to actually talk to me about what he was struggling with. He found that very hard to do so. And eventually we did some work together and he took control of everything. So we would sit down, we would do stuff, I would produce whatever I was producing with him, and he would always try to take control. And I remember just saying to him, I was like, why am I here, in a really polite way? And he was like, you're helping me out with my social media marketing. And I was like, I know, but you're not, you're paying me for my service, but you're not letting me do my service. You're taking control. You're having everything. If you were struggling, that's amazing. I'm here to help you. Let me guide you to where you want to be. But he couldn't grasp that. He found it very threatening. He's like, no, I'll do that myself. Toxic people in workplaces as well. And this will be another video. I'll get there. They can't take help. They're very controlling. They may be like, you know what, I'll have a day off today. I'll have a day off. You guys, do your thing. And they will never leave the bloody workplace. They're very much like, what are you up to? What's going on? They're absolutely terrible. They're also, they don't support you. They're the types of person that, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example that maybe I went through. Yeah, I do have one actually. I've done so many jobs. I'm so old. That's why. There was an old job. I worked in a retail store and we had a suspected, I guess we would say, along the lines of narcissistic boss. Very, very toxic man. Lovely, but not great to work with. Lovely from a distance in a house on the other side of the world on a webcam type of thing, but not like in close range. And he just had hatred for certain types of people that were really happy and bubbly and people that he found threatening. As we know, narcissists don't like someone else being like league and control of them. And what happened was there was a guy that came in. I think the story was, there's like a scam that you do where you go to the front desk and you say, oh, have you got change with my £10 note to get two £5 notes? And then the cashier would give you the money and then the guy's like, oh, hang on, can you just swap this? And lots of back and forth, yada yada. And eventually the staff member got shortchanged, and the staff member was really upset about it. She actually called up the manager and she was like, I'm so upset, we're down by £20. He scammed me. And the manager was just not, and I get it, he's lost £20, I understand that, but he went absolutely ballistic on this person. And then because of that, his perceived notion of this lady was she was not good at her job. And there was another situation where something went wrong. Can't really remember it exactly, but something bad happened in the store that he immediately thought that she was at fault. And despite everyone saying, no, that wasn't her, whatever happened wasn't because of her, he would not believe it. So they almost pick out not the weakest person, but the person that they know doesn't have boundaries, if that makes sense. How do I show empathy with autistic friends? That's a really good question. So autism obviously changes on the spectrum. You'd have to tell me more about your friend so I can understand exactly what it is that they struggle with, because different forms of empathy could be intellectual empathy, it could be um, sitting down next to someone empathy, that type of stuff. That's a quite a broad question. But what I'm trying to say is with narcissistic bosses, we sometimes give them way too much power. And what do I mean by that is we have a job at the end of the day. We might not like our job, we probably hate it, but we go there for a reason, to get money, right? To pay for whatever it is that we need to buy. So, when we have a toxic work situation, we are less inclined to walk away until we are worn down and beaten down, and our mental health is super low, where we're just like, can't do it anymore. This is it. I'm done. I'm broken. So, when it comes to narcissistic or toxic workplaces, we have to be very open with our boundaries, and have a great video about boundaries on my channel. Nice little plug. But that's essentially, who are you as a person? What do you stand for? What will you not tolerate? And what's the consequence if someone does break that? But when we have that toxic situation in a workplace, we're less inclined to be firm with our boundaries. We let them slide a little bit because we're like, well, I want to appease my boss. I want to get my bonus. I don't want to annoy him because he'll make my life hard because I see him, 6 hours a day, 4 days a week. So I understand that. But we still have to be firm. And the hardest thing, especially with me being in different workplaces, is seeing that happen from different perspectives. That bosses can bully you because they sense and they know they have that sense of control over you. The best thing that you have to do is you got to let it go. The problem of letting it slide is that people think they can do it. Yeah, that's a good question. So the hardest thing, right? If say we've got a toxic boss, we feel that if we don't pull them up for their bad behavior, they're going to continue to mistrust us, right? They're going to continue to just be an absolute a-hole and really ruin our work situation. That we feel that if we let it slide, we accept internally this person is a little bit toxic, let me avoid them, they will still be rude to us because a toxic person doesn't understand what boundaries are. They will walk all over them. That it might feel sometimes it's a disservice to ourselves to let someone speak bad about us. And I get that. But what I'm trying to say is, let's say you come in one morning, the boss says something rude to you. You can do two things. You can say, hey, I don't want to be spoken to like that. And you can threaten them with HR, which is a great option to do. And eventually you just ignore it, because when you ignore someone that's saying something to get back at you, to get a reaction, because that's what they're doing, they want you to feel awful, you just pretend you've not heard it. It's a form of grey rocking. Pretend you've not heard it, pretend that they don't even exist, and carry on walking. And eventually, what this toxic boss will do, well, firstly, they will gather other colleagues that probably don't like you and try to build this horrible network of, we hate this person. But eventually they just let you go when they realize that they don't have control over you, that you are not reacting to their negativity. They're just like, right, well, I'll just find another form of supply for my controlling behavior. So it's really tough. I'm trying to think. Out of all of my work situation, I've never met a toxic lady boss. Have I? No. What about you guys? In terms of toxic bosses, have you predominantly noticed them to be male, female? And it'd be good to kind of get that sense of where they came from and also what industry. I've had many toxic bosses that worked in the retail industry. That was a crazy one. She is less energetic in this winter weather, not wanting to hang out, overstimulated by noise outside, trying to just get them to talk about it. Oh, I understand that. I resonate with that completely. So when it comes to autism, obviously everyone is completely different. You have to find what fits in your relationship. You have to understand that sometimes those that have autism, they have not their safe people, but people that they feel comfortable to talk to. We could say people that they can unmask around, those that they can just let down their walls and just be them and have their quirks and their unique abilities. That you have to understand that, how do I word this? That they will come to you when they feel comfortable, but sometimes just reaching out and just saying in a really nice way, hey, I'm thinking of you, let's do something, that should be enough to set that, what's the word, olive branch, kind of type of thing. Because sometimes autistic people, they take it on personally that they've done something wrong. They may have 50,000 thoughts spinning around in their head at one specific time, that it's almost hard for them to continue with relationships. A lot of autistic people, it depends on the spectrum, of course. A lot of them are so wrapped up in what's going on, like you said, the overstimulation, with all the noise and everything like that that's going on, that they forget. It's so easy. I do this all the time. I have traits for autism on the low end, I presume. I don't know. That sometimes we forget we have relationships that we have to manage. We forget that we're supposed to, keep our garden in check. Sometimes what can happen is an autistic person, let's say we have a garden outside, right? And we all know we're supposed to mow our lawn weekly, de-weed, pull the strawberries off the strawberry branches, whatever that would mean. We end up forgetting. We might hear a helicopter above, okay? And that helicopter, we're like, oh my gosh, that's too much noise. So these people, they run inside. And then before we know it, they look into their back garden and they're like, whoa, everyone, like, I've got this whole forest of weeds. So what I'm trying to say is it's very easy to forget that we have relationships sometimes, those of autism. But reaching out with empathy would just literally be a really cute thing, is knowing what they like and offering that as a really cute suggestion. So let's say maybe you were like a strawberry. I think that's a compliment. I'm taking it as a compliment. Let's say this person's favorite thing was, say, Harry Potter, like mine is. You could literally just say, hey, do you want to hang out? Do you want to play Harry Potter on, the what is it? Hogwarts Legacy. Let's play Hogwarts Legacy together. Let's talk about this new book. It's a nice kind of way of putting your fishing line down and with the tackle and waiting for them to take the bait in a nice way. But it's a tough one. Everyone's situation is completely unique. And yeah, winter weather, not wanting to hang out. I don't think anyone wants to hang out in the winter, right? I hate it. In the UK right now, we are false spring, which basically means spring is slowly creeping up to summer. And it's amazing. There's like sunshine out my window, and I'm like, what is this? I want to go outside and bathe and bask in the vitamin D. It's a great feeling. Guys, I've gone on a huge tangent, haven't I? I really have. I just want to say I appreciate every single one of you. There's 20, I can see 20 people in the room. I know there's a couple more people, but I appreciate every single one of you. I really do. So we've been having a great relationship, but I kind of leaked my feelings after a few drinks. She has opened up to me about a condition. We agreed to hang out, then she flaked in text. It's all good. Oh, okay. Hello, Angelic. Hello, how are you doing? Okay, this is a tricky one. Two things, okay? And I don't want to dive into romantic advice. If I don't on this channel, it's kind of something I don't want to tackle into. But you've got two options. If someone is feeling extreme overwhelmed with emotions, it can make them retract, okay? That could be attachment trauma, could be autism. There's a lot going on. Or it could be another reality you have to understand is maybe you saying with a word vomit, I like you. They might be like, oh, don't know how to deal with that. It could be they don't like you back. They're still processing things. Because if you guys were amazing friends, that almost changes the dynamic a little bit. All I would suggest is leave. And what I'm guessing is you're friends, you were great, you said you like this person, and then things have been a little bit different. You can reach out, just reach out and be like, hey, thinking of you, let's do this really cool thing together, and just wait for them to come back. As long as you've done what you're supposed to have done by opening up that connection, if that connection is closed off, you can sleep at night knowing that you've done everything. If that connection remains open and she returns, everything's good. But it's a tough situation. Super, super, super tough. So yeah, gentlemen, ladies, you are all amazing. People from prominent families deal with a lot of things: jealousy, narcissism, gaslighting. Bang on, exactly. It's a tough one. What I have noticed is through my professional environment of therapy and etc., is families range, they're so different, okay? I have noticed 9 times out of 10, the families that have the riches, the money type of thing, they are a lot more, I guess, more emotionally neglectful to their children, I've noticed. They're very much, they don't really know how to nurture their children. It's all very about money and status for them. And I've noticed the families that would have, this isn't every situation, of course, but this is like a stereotype, but generically it's what I've noticed, is the families that don't have much money, they may still have created emotional neglect based on how they've been parented themselves, but the love support is vastly different between a richer family and someone that's, say, on the poverty line. Someone that's on the poverty line, that family unit is almost stronger, because I think people come together when they know they're lacking in something. It builds that support system. It's a very crazy concept. For all it's worth, we talk normal like it never happened. So you are talking. That's a good thing. It probably is a case that she's trying to forget it happened, or if she does struggle with autism, she probably doesn't know how to push the next steps along if she likes you back. That might be a thing to consider. I would just continue to hang out, have a great time, and just kind of see where that takes you, I think. But like I said, dating advice isn't something that, it's not something I don't think I cover on this channel. Try not to anyway. But also breakups, right? Let's talk about that. We do our most self-growth when we have a breakup, right? Have you ever noticed that? All of a sudden, you can be someone that's was sat on the sofa eating like a tub of Ben and Jerry's every evening. So easy to do. So all of a sudden, Sandra breaks up with you and you're like, whoa, I've got to go to the gym. And you become this version of you 2.0. The best growth, the acceleration speed of growth happens the most when we have a breakup. Have you ever noticed that? Now, therapists can say that breakups almost feel like the pain that we felt when we were let down as children. Consider that. It can feel like dying. And all of a sudden, one breakup that we have reminds us of the past breakups we had. You want to learn more about the spectrum? Me too. There's so much to learn. So much to learn. Giving you an interesting dream. Thank you. It's a bit of an off the topic stream, this one. It really is. The spectrum, hey, it's a crazy concept. My education throughout psychology has vastly changed. The more I do my learning, the more I hate mental health diagnoses is the correct word. The more I just see the DSM, which is what we have criteria that we rate people on and say, you've got this disorder, you've got that. I hate it. And the reason why I hate it is sometimes we own the person that's given us that criterion, that diagnosis, they only see one version of us. So let's say we are someone that is, in fact, this relates to autism. This is a story that happens all the time. Many clients have experienced this. Is originally they have been diagnosed with bipolar. So they've gone into, say, a doctor's and said, I'm experiencing high moods, low moods. And they're like, okay, sounds like maybe some form of rapid cycling. Let's say you've got bipolar, you're diagnosed with bipolar. So all of a sudden, it makes sense why your behaviors are in a certain, happen differently to the, dare I say, normal person. So we think we have bipolar, we feel happy that we're recognized, we have an identity for the first time in our life, things make sense. And then maybe you're on TikTok scrolling, and then maybe BPD, borderline personality disorder, pops up, and you're like, whoa, I resonate with that. I have rapid cycling, but now I've noticed my mood can fluctuate many times throughout the day. Then all of a sudden, you think, you know what, I'm going to go back to the doctors. I'm going to say to them, I've seen this video. I think I have borderline personality disorder. And this person gets out his checklist and goes, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And you're like, yep. And then what happens? You go back to TikTok, or you come onto my YouTube channel and someone's like, you have chronic complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And you're like, that's what I have. And then you go back to the doctor. So it's a great concept that almost we get an identity of maybe where we can improve. That's how I like to see a mental health situation is, this is you. This might be a limitation you have. Let's find a way of making that work. But the downside, right, is you could be having a bad day when you see this person that's assessing you, and they only see the aversion to assess of who you are in that moment. They don't live with you. They don't know who you are. So you can get misdiagnosed quite a lot. So people with autism kind of officially can get misdiagnosed 2 times before they eventually get their autistic diagnosis. And Imagine how painful that is, being told you're a certain type of person, realizing that doesn't fit, and then being told something else. And yeah, you don't really have trust in the system. So I think I'm going to sign off. I have food cooking in my oven that I need to check, which is a bit foolish for me to abandon it for so many hours. But ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, other people in the chat, I'm trying to figure out who I've got here that's a regular, dare I say. You've been amazing. I appreciate every single one of you. Honestly, without me getting too soppy, just reading your comments every single day really does make my day. It's nice to know I'm not talking to a brick wall. So I appreciate every single one of you. If you're going through something traumatic right now, I just want you to know that you are loved. The growth that you're doing, I'm so proud of you. Growing is tremendous. If you're struggling and you're watching content on my videos, my channel, should I say, I'm proud of you for putting the work in. I'm so pretty and dope. Like and subscribe. Quick question. On average, oh gosh, how many videos do you record per day? Right, this is a question I'm going to have until my very last days. So I can record. In fact, I can show you. This is my office. It's very messy. This, I don't even think that you can see much. I've got lights in the way. But you're not going to see anything. But all of this is recording content. There's like a camera down there. You're not going to see it. I kind of booby trapped it so you can't see much. But I can record. Today, I didn't do any recording. I was studying. I was at university today, so I didn't do any recording. Yesterday, did I do two? I did a live stream yesterday for another client. I think I did 2 videos in the morning and 2 Facebook ads. That's 5 pieces of content. So yeah. Oh yeah, the dating channel. Yeah, I've noticed that. Actually. I get a lot of people who say, "Hey, I've seen you from this channel." I'm like, okay, that's strange how you've managed to find me. Completely different like topics of interest, but yeah, that I appreciate it. So yeah, I do a lot of content a day. This past couple of weeks and next couple of weeks, I'm actually helping out with a teaching company down in London. So yeah, that's all about helping people to better their language skills. So that's fun. So I'm literally around the country at the moment. It's tiring. It's tiring. Ideally, I would just love to help with this channel, make this my main thing. So I'm going to sign off. Guys, you've been amazing. Honestly, your comments make my day. You might see me around the web. You might see my face everywhere else, but this is my channel. It's my little baby. And just showing up for me means the world. Like, oh, I love it. I really do. So guys, you're amazing. I'm going to go. I've got to cook. What time are we on? 7:30. I've got food to eat. Get ready for a day of work tomorrow. You've been amazing. I'm proud of you. Keep pushing on. Keep going on your journey because, yeah, you're amazing. And thank you for being here. Have an amazing day, everyone. I will see you this time next week. Should we make that a regular thing before I go? Does this time work with everyone? 6:30 UK time, Thursdays. I'm feeling it now. Thursdays is my live streaming day. Awesome. Okay. What I'm going to do is set an event up every single Thursday. So when I finish my university work, I can come back here. Lunchtime in Canada. Perfect. We can have a dinner date together, a picnic. Amazing. Guys, gentlemen, everyone, I love you to pieces. Have an amazing evening, and I will see you soon. Take care and be kind to yourself, okay? You're amazing. See you very soon, guys. All the best. Bye, bye, bye.